Welcome back to the Trading Coach Podcast. Your host, as always, Akil Stokes. In today's episode, got a few different topics that we're going to kind of intertwine into each other. One, I'm going to share with you a story about this 90% trading system that was untradeable, meaning it was 90% correct, but for certain reasons, we could not trade. It was very profitable as well. And two, we're going to talk about how much power you should give, quote unquote, the trend when it comes to your analysis. Should it be kind of a say-all qualifier, meaning I have to have the trend or I have to be within the trend to trade, or should it be something that you consider, you take it into account, but it's not the defining, decision maker on whether you should be involved in a trade or not. And trust me, this is going to be a very important conversation for you guys who are thinking about treating your trading like a business and trying to understand that there's more to trading than just your profit factor. There's more to trading than just your win-loss or your win percentage. There's more to trading than just your risk reward. So check it out. Continuation means that we're looking for the market to continue in whatever our short-term direction is. And I think that's very important because I had two separate conversations the other day. We had the Monday Q&A about identifying the ebbs and flows, analyzing and drawing out new structure highs, outside returns, and the fact that, hey, the trader said, am I right in identifying on the dollar yen that we've been in a rotation for the last year, or not the last year, but I think it was the last few months, and we have no trend. And the whole conversation was yes. And there will be times in the market where you can go years without having a quote unquote textbook, tier one textbook definition of a trend. And in the past, I remember dealing with traders, Naomi specifically, for you guys that know her, Naomi used to flip out because Naomi is very by the book. Naomi is very dot the I's, cross the T's. Everything is very strict, rule-based, no bend, no break, any of that stuff. And she was doing some back testing, and she was like, Akil, I back tested for like 10 years on like euro dollar. Strategy was going well for the first like 5 years. Then I hit this period where we didn't have a trend for 2 straight years. And she's like, am I wrong in seeing this? And I'm like, no, you're not wrong. It's there. She's like, so are you telling me that if I were trading this live, I would have to go 2 years without trading? And I'm like, well, per your rules, yes. And it's funny because those are the reality checks that we need in our testing, right? And we talked about this. I had a conversation, I'm not sure if it's public or private, with Jason Grayson about this as well, about adding so many filters that it filters down your frequency to like nothing. I've told many of you guys a story before, but to make it short, a student of mine was a French doctor before, David Alcindor. Probably the smartest person I've ever met, but also a little bit too smart. And he was so smart you couldn't, when he would write you, like you'd be like, David, how's the weather outside? And you'd get like a 3-page book on it. And I'm not even joking. It would analyze all the weather, the different patterns, and why the patterns in here and how it might change. One of those type of dudes. He's a doctor, so it's very detailed. And whether it was his pursuit of excellence or his ego, he always looked for the perfect strategy. And he created some really good strategies. He's the one that created the aggressive C in a way that actually worked. He created not created wolf ways, but he traded something called wolf ways. Really, really good stuff. But I remember we had this mastermind meeting. We're in Kansas, right? And we're all fat from lunch, right? I think we went to Fogo de Chao, got our endless slabs of meat just sawed off with machetes onto our plate. If you guys ever been there, it's a Brazilian steakhouse, and the waiters walk around with meat and swords, and you have a little thing that's green or red, and as long as it's green, right? And I told you, like with my football store earlier, I ain't no punk, right? As long as it's green, they will come around and they will take out that sword and slice pieces of meat onto your plate. And because we're competitors, the game is I've got to eat this meat as fast as possible before that next waiter comes in, because if it's not red, he's going to just slice a piece off right on top of that plate. It's an amazing place. Amazing place. Don't go to a salad bar. Don't waste stomach space. Save it all for the meat. So we're all fattened up from this Fogo de Chao thing. And we're supposed to be having this serious meeting about strategy development, and we have a coder in because David's going to present his strategy, and then our coder is going to teach our group how to code it, systemize it, automate it, So we can just plug it and play, right? This is perfect. We got a brilliant mind. He's going to teach us a strategy. We've got a coder. He's going to automate it to us. We're going to build this system right here and right now. And then we're going to go home and just push a button and turn it on and make all this money, right? The perfect setup. The problem is when David started walking us through his rules, right? There were so many filters, right? And of course, programmers, if you ever need anyone that's good with if-then syntax, right? It's programmers. Because programmers, you can ask Anthony as well, programmers are everything has to be binary in order to program it. So he's going through the process. He's like, okay, David, explain this. Or what if this? What if that? If that, this, right? So we go like an hour in, and we have this set of filters. We got everything perfect. This thing is set to trade David's system as perfectly as can be. And we put it on some data, and we run through. We look at the results, and we do it again. It must have been a mistake. We go to a different pair. All right, that pair was messed up, probably not a directional pair. We do it again, right? Long story short, we keep doing this. And this strategy was so filtered down with so many specific criteria, it only offered 2 opportunities a year. And it had a 90% hit rate, but only 2 opportunities a year. And David's all happy. And we're like, David, Todd comes in, he's like, David, this is a great system. I'm so proud of you developing this. Like, you filtered out everything, but you might have filtered out too much. It's not tradable. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, it's not realistic to take a system that has 2 trades a year. Like, what if you miss one of them? What if you miss one of them? You're screwed for the year. What do you do the rest of the year? And it's like, so frequency matters. So you got to think realistically. It's not just, can my strategy produce profit? But there has to be a level of frequency to it. And when looking at Naomi, we had to ask ourselves the question, like, Naomi, are you willing to sit for 2 years and not take a trade? Considering the fact that you're also thinking about going full-time trading, your income is coming from your trading, you have to go 2 years without a trade. How are you going to survive in life? And those are things we don't often think about. We often look at the bottom line, but again, this is the brilliance of backtesting, right? Backtesting shows you the story. If she would have just automated her backtesting and had it spit out the numbers, she may have missed this gap. Now, you would hope that she'd go over a review, but she may just get like, hey, this thing was profitable. She may have never noticed that there was a 2-year stretch where it didn't trade. And now she's quit her job, gone full-time trading, and now she's sitting here for 2 years. She doesn't know that this is a normal thing, so she starts freaking out. She starts thinking that she's lost her edge. She's making mistakes, because who else are you going to look at when you don't have a trade for 2 years? Of course you're going to think you're doing something wrong, right? I think I'm doing something wrong when I go a week without trading. I start sending charts to Jason like, hey, did I miss anything here? Did you have a site? Is that a cipher? Like, did I measure that right? Right. I start, after a week, imagine 2 years. So you have to be realistic with your approach. And what I told her, and this was before the foundation course, and I apologize for talking as we're watching this thing run without me. It's not retracing, but I'm supposed to be talking about this trend continuation opportunity. But I think this lesson is more important. Bigger picture, right? This thing's going to roll down to profit while I'm ranting. Like, thanks, Akil. But you have to think, it made me think of the idea of like, hey, we're so obsessed with the bigger trend, but do we actually need the bigger trend to trade? And the answer is no. I don't think the bigger the overall trend should be a qualifier that says you can get into this door or you can't, right? Kind of like The Good Place. I've been watching The Good Place. We just finished it. You have to have a certain amount of points to get to heaven, or if not, you go to hell and get tortured. There's no kind of middle ground. Well, there is. There's one person that's in the middle ground. But aside from that, there's no middle ground. It's either good or bad. And it should be more than that, because human decisions are complex. If you watch the show, you know what I mean. It's a great show. Little short lady that my wife likes is in there. She's very funny. And the guy from Cheers. But anyway, the point is, understanding the trend gives us a directional bias. It doesn't have to be our yes or no whether we can trade it. Because we look at the chart in front of you, we're looking for a quote-unquote continuation move to the downside, which is within a bigger move trend that has been to the upside. And if we keep going up time frames, that trend it'll just keep getting reversed, right? A pullback on a bigger time frame is a trend on a lower time frame. So we never actually know what the trend is. So why are we giving it so much power to define what we can or cannot do? If you ever want to get more training on the financial markets, come over to untradeable.com. We have a handful of trading courses and resources that we use to help traders go from either new to consistently profitable, or help struggling traders get over that hump and clear those obstacles, right? We start at the very beginning. We teach you everything we know from both a trading perspective and a business perspective. So check it out. We also have a great community of traders, which between me and you is the secret sauce of the program. So www.tier1trading.com. Check it out. Start with the risk-free trial membership. That way you don't have to commit. And I'll see you guys on the platform.